Imagine a time when the land we now call the United States was still untamed, its shores unmarked by European settlements. Long before Jamestown in 1607 or the Pilgrims' arrival at Plymouth in 1620, there was a settlement that stood as the first permanent European outpost in America. Welcome to St Augustine, Florida, founded in 1565 by the Spanish, an event that would change the course of history. The year is 1565. The Spanish crown sends Pedro Menéndez de Avilés on a mission, not to discover gold or trade with natives, but to defend Spain's claim over Florida. He was given an urgent task, to eliminate a growing French threat along the coast. Just 1 year earlier, the French had set up a colony called Fort Caroline near what is now Jacksonville. Led by French Huguenots, this settlement was a direct challenge to Spanish control over the region. But there was something far more dangerous about these French colonists: they were Protestants. To King Philip II of Spain, this was heresy, something that could not be allowed to flourish on Spanish soil. Menéndez, a seasoned Spanish soldier, was given the mission to destroy the French colony. But he soon faced a massive setback. By the time Menéndez and his small fleet arrived in Florida, the French had already called in reinforcements. A fleet of French warships was anchored near Fort Caroline, ready to defend their new stronghold. Outnumbered and with no clear path to victory, Menéndez made a daring decision. He retreated to a nearby coastal site, a place he had spotted just days earlier. He named it St Augustine. But even in retreat, his fate was about to change in a way no one could have predicted. As the French fleet prepared to crush the Spaniards, nature delivered an unexpected twist. A violent hurricane, unheard of in its strength, tore through the waters, sending the French ships scattering and sinking. The storm changed everything. The French fleet was shattered. The Spanish, who moments ago had been on the brink of annihilation, now had a chance. Menéndez, with no French ships to worry about, marched straight to Fort Caroline. What followed was swift and brutal. In the quiet of the early morning, Menéndez and his men surprised the sleeping French soldiers. With barely any resistance, they took control of the fort. Over 140 French soldiers were killed, with many of them captured still in their nightshirts. The chaplain of Menéndez's expedition, Francisco López de Mendoza Grajales, later praised Menéndez's efforts, calling it a divine act of cleansing. The French colonists were wiped out. But the story doesn't end there. As Menéndez returned to St Augustine, a chilling report came from local Native Americans. Survivors of the storm were seen walking along the beach south of the settlement. These were the Frenchmen who had been blown off course by the hurricane. Menéndez knew they posed a threat and he wasted no time. Menéndez confronted them. The French survivors, now desperate, offered to convert to Catholicism in exchange for their lives. 16 men accepted the offer, but the rest, 111 of them, were executed on the spot, brutally slaughtered. 2 weeks later, the French commander, Jean Ribault, and his remaining men arrived. They too were offered a chance to surrender. But Menéndez had no intention of showing mercy. Ribault was executed, and the rest of the survivors were killed, their deaths recorded as one of the bloodiest in early American history. This dark chapter became known as the Matanzas massacre. The inlet where this slaughter occurred was named Matanzas, Spanish for slaughters, a reminder of the bloodshed that secured St Augustine for Spain. In the aftermath of the massacre, the Spanish secured their hold on Florida. St Augustine became the center of Spanish power in the region. The city wasn't just a military base, it was a crucial hub for the Spanish crown's treasure fleets and a base for missionaries aiming to convert the Native American population. Over time, St Augustine would withstand numerous attacks, including a raid by the English pirate Sir Francis Drake in 1586. But the city endured, its strategic importance growing. In 1672, the Spanish built the Castillo de San Marcos, the oldest masonry fort in the continental U.S., which still stands today. From the chaos of the French slaughter to its rise as a symbol of Spanish power, St Augustine became the foundation of European presence in America. It was here, on the shores of this quiet, coastal town, that the story of European colonization in what would eventually become the United States truly began. And that, my friends, is how St Augustine became the first permanent European settlement in America. If you enjoyed this deep dive into history, be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more thrilling stories from the past. Until next time, keep exploring the fascinating moments that shaped our world.